Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and each week I'm joined by a panel of guests to discuss all things fandom and pop culture, primarily from a female perspective. You'll find everything from fanfic, to cosplay, to Schitt's Creek, to Supernatural, and everything in between. So put on your favorite piece of fandom merch, set aside that fanfic that you're writing about your OTP, and sit back and enjoy this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and on this episode, we are talking about the classic sitcom Roseanne. Just the sitcom. We aren't going to be talking about the original run of the sitcom, I should say, the first 9 seasons. We aren't going to talk about the reboot, and both Jenn and I are not fans of Roseanne Barr as a person. Just want to get that out of the way first. So joining me is my podcast brain twin, Jenn, from my streaming bubble, and also the co-host of our podcast, Twin It to Win It. So hello, Jenn.
Well, hello, Erin. And did you know that what doesn't kill us makes us stronger? And we're going to last longer than that greatest wall in China or that rabbit with the drum. And if there's one thing that I've learned while waiting for my turn, and then it goes into something about rain and rainbows, whatever. But
yeah. Hi. So we're going to be spoiling Roseanne. I don't know why I'm saying that because, there's not really much to spoil in this show except for the original ending, but still, But I'm going to give plot synopsis from IMDb, which I had to click into their different summaries because right now their summary is just a revival of popular 1990s sitcom Roseanne. I'm like, I'm not going to put that in there as the because we're not talking about the revival. But I'm going to give trigger warnings as well because this definitely needs trigger warnings. So, this was a show that ran from the original run was 1988 to 1997. So, that time period.
Very, very 90s. Very 90s.
Yes, yes. Roseanne is the story of a working class family struggling with life's essential problems: marriage, children, money, and parents-in-law. Yes, I know Roseanne's mom and occasionally Dan's dad and very occasionally Dan's mom. But I don't know. That makes it sound like they're like the parents-in-law are always there. Later on, I think
Bev's in it more.
Yeah,
in the later
but
seasons.
Earlier seasons, not really.
No.
So putting that in there is so weird to me. I don't know. IMDb, you're just always winning.
So whoever wrote that is a fan of the last half of the original run.
There you go. Yeah. And it starred Roseanne Barr as Roseanne Connor, John Goodman as Dan Connor, Laurie Metcalf as Jackie Harris, who is Roseanne's sister, Sarah Gilbert as Darlene Connor, Michael Fishman as DJ Connor, Alicia Goranson as Becky Connor for part of the run, and then Sarah Chalk as also Becky Connor, Johnny Galecki as David Healy, Natalie West as Crystal, the late Glenn Quinn as Mark Healy, Estelle Parsons as Beverly Harris, who is Roseanne and Jackie's mom. There are so many people in this, but I'm going to name a couple more. Martin Mull as Leon, Sandra Bernhard as Nancy, James Pickens Jr. as Chuck, Tom Arnold as Arnie, and Bonnie Bramlett as Bonnie, Shelley Winters as Nana Mary. I'm going to mention her because she is Roseanne and Jackie's grandmother. So kind of have to mention her because she's incredible in the show. I think she's so hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to stop right there with the cast because there are other people that come and go throughout this cast. But those are kind of the main core throughout the first 9 seasons. So what I first want to know, trigger warnings. Homophobia, racism, transphobia, misogyny, internalized misogyny, domestic violence, alcoholism, I would say. There is some drug use in one of the best episodes of the whole show.
It's the sink. Am I shrinking?
I love that episode so damn much. Such a great episode.
Such a great episode. What do you want, teacher? Sorry.
No, I'm with you.
I'll stop quoting.
And what if he needs I can't donate an organ because they're all filled with thoughts. And Dan just saying, you're the most beautiful, whatever thing. I could watch that episode on repeat. It's amazing. There is smoking. I hate giving trigger warnings for that now. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit like kind of annoyed with that trigger warning. I'm sorry. I know people need it, but it's kind of annoying to me for some reason. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Maybe you said it. Like, yeah, fat phobia, body shaming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Duh. I would say emotional abuse as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but fat phobia, duh. I cannot believe I didn't mention that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this was a show, from the 80s and 90s. So, yep, not an excuse, but that is clear as day when you're watching it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jenn, what did Roseanne mean to you when you were growing up?
Well, considering I have modeled like my entire personality around the Connor family, it is a huge part of my childhood. And yes, Roseanne Barr is now a crusty cunt cootie, and she just turned into the worst fucking person. My God. Anyway, I won't go off into that weird tangent of Reddit, but she will never ruin this. Nothing she can say or do will ruin how much this show meant to me then and how much it still means to me and the nostalgia I have with it. I haven't rewatched the series in a really, really long time, so this was a hoot. And I do have to do a little bragging and say that I didn't really need to pod prep this because, I know the show that well. There are a handful of episodes I know what episode it is just based on what they're wearing. And that's a brag. Yes, it is. That's my flags. So I got the DVDs from the library and it came the full series, all 9 seasons. And my coworker is like, oh my God, who's watching 9 seasons in 2 weeks? And then sees my name pop up and she's like, oh, it's Jenn. And so, so I put it on and I'm just in the kitchen, cleaning, getting dinner ready and everything. And the episodes are going. I can hear it just fine. And even without seeing it, I know exactly where they're at. I know if they're in Wellman's, if they're on the line, or if they're in the break room, or, later at the Lobo, all these things. And I can see things clearly without watching the television. And I'm reciting the lines along with them with the same inflection of the emphasis and everything. And I was like, fuck, I love this show. I had an absolute blast rewatching this and revisiting it. And I loved it so much. I loved that at the time, Roseanne was not your typical American housewife mom. And the way that she kind of broke the ground and broke barriers in that sense and kind of really, by that point, yes, the whole nuclear family, Donna Reed type moms weren't really around. But Roseanne Connor really just did away with those women. Just to shine a light that not all moms and housewives are like that. And that sometimes we're tired, we're overstimulated, we have to get the fuck out. We're stuck in dead-end jobs that just suck our soul. And to put all these very common problems right there on screen, prime time for the entire country to watch and be like, yeah, me too. Huge, right? Loved the Huxtables, but we weren't all children of doctors and, and stuff like that. So we can't relate to rich people problems. But these were poor folks. They had to choose between a shitty job and a shitty job. They had to move money around and kind of joke about, check fraud and send the water bill or water payment to the electric company. And when they do get a little bit of money, what are they going to do? Are they going to be responsible with it? Are they going to spoil themselves? Or are they going to end up spoiling their kids? And these are the things that families back then, and especially now, I feel like a lot of families kind of have to pick and choose necessities, bills and food and all of that stuff for us, or put it towards our kids or our family, our community, people that are important to us. And for them to shine that light, blue collar, loud, sweary, like that was very much a lot of the families I knew, right? Like as a child, like I knew more families that were like the Connors than, like the rich families, sitcom families and stuff. So it was just really cool to see. Not everyone in my family liked Roseanne just because of her voice and her laugh and how grating it is. But I thought that was also very important to the character and to what the show was representing at the time, that we're not all the moms are sweet, soft-spoken, and please and thank you. Like, some families holler across the house. I was raised in a holler across the house family. My husband was not. So when I holler across the house, he's just like, Jesus. I was like, get with it. We're a loud family. And seeing loud families and having that to be like, that's okay to do. Big deal. So I loved it. They were just so middle America, Midwest as fuck. And that family was my second family. They were, like Roseanne was my cool mom, and Dan was the dad that drank, because my dad didn't really drink, but and like actually did stuff, and like they all had friends. Like that was the cool family.
Yeah, I mean, this was Roseanne Connor was exactly like one of my closest friends growing up's mom. Like exactly, like they even look alike, everything, like to a scary degree. And granted, she's not the healthiest person, this person. And I think you can see that in Roseanne, because Roseanne is not always the best person, honestly. Especially as the show goes on, I think she becomes really mean, to be quite frank. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next segment about how it holds up. But this was like something you didn't really see. Like you didn't see on TV a family that wasn't all skin and bones, like every single person. You didn't see a family that looked like a family, like a regular, normal family. I mean, granted, for me, I grew up with a single mom, so this wasn't exactly relatable, but it was relatable in the fact that we didn't grow up with a lot of money. We didn't grow up with like that stability of knowing that, for sure we were going to have like a great Christmas or something like that, that kind of thing. Like we would still get Christmas presents, but we weren't always getting like everything like everybody else was. It took us a while till we got a VCR. It took us a while till we got cable, that kind of stuff. So it wasn't like we grew up with the way that everybody else did. My dad's side of the family is from Illinois, and so this is very much representative of that. Dan was kind of like a more evolved version of my dad when I was watching. I was little. That changed a little bit on the rewatch this time. But I'm like you, Jen. I really know all the episodes except for the final 2 seasons. I'm not those are like the ones that I'm like, I can't really quite remember.
Mm-hmm.
Like the final season, I was like, I don't even care about this season.
Yeah.
To be frank, there were a couple episodes like Darlene giving birth and stuff like that I definitely watched, and I definitely watched the finale. But for the most part, I think that season is so far removed from the way the show was that it's hard to watch. But some of the earlier stuff, and Peacock, it's really frustrating because Peacock is showing this, but Peacock has these newer versions where they have deleted scenes and they've taken out other scenes. So you watch it and you'll be like, wait, where's that one scene that's supposed to go here? And it won't be there. Or like even though I think it's kind of a silly, stupid thing, but even like when Roseanne says she's pregnant and Dan sits there and the outro, it's showing Dan being like, pregnant, and the kid growing up, that's cut. There's all sorts of things that are cut and it's like enhanced, like it's in 4K or something. I don't know how they enhanced it. So then like sometimes you'll see boxes or something and you can't read the writing on it because it's so enhanced that it's all
Oh,
wacky.
jeez.
So I have to say that is a disappointment because there are, and I wish I'd written down the scenes that were missing because there were so many things that I knew from memory and from rewatching the show so much that weren't there. And I'm like, what the hell happened to this scene? Or they would end with some scene that wasn't the last one. And so it was just kind of, that's annoying, I want to say. So if you can get it from the library, I would say that's probably better. I mean, the fact that I knew them, it wasn't like, it didn't mean I couldn't understand what was going on. It was just like little things. Like if you've never watched this show before and you want to experience this show for the first time, rent the DVDs and don't watch it on Peacock because of that fact. It's just annoying and obnoxious to cut things from this show. But yeah, I'm like you. I remember certain scenes. I still remember them. I still like remember lines. I still think of certain scenes. There are certain moments that are just memorable forever. And this was a more realistic family than like the ones you would normally see, where the kids didn't always get along. And granted, I mean, you would see that in other shows, but this was to a different level where you really saw that. The kids were allowed to really genuinely screw up, where you didn't have like magically things got resolved. And while I didn't always like what they did with the kids on the rewatch, it still was it was still way more realistic than like other shows were showing at that time. And it really, really, really illustrated how difficult it is to live in this country if you are not wealthy, and how absolutely mind-numbing some jobs can be, and how hard it is to be able to still be happy when you have that stress of, how am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to pay the electric bill? That kind of stuff, and still trying to provide joy for your family. So that's why this show was so great and so revolutionary at that time. I mean, really, you didn't have this. And it was this and Married with Children were like the two shows that kind of were like and they both take place in Illinois. What do you know?
What does that say about Illinois? I think we know what exactly that says about Illinois.
I think that's funny. I don't know how I just now realized this, but.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, they were the anti-nuclear families, and
exactly.
Love them for that forever. Yes,
Yeah.
the Bundys.
You can go back and listen to Jenn, Carla, and I talking about Married with Children. And you can also listen to me interviewing somebody who wrote a book, who he worked on Married with Children. And if you loved Married with Children, it's a great book. It's a great interview. So I suggest listening to that. I recommend that too. But I do want to know, so I know like both of us, we really probably didn't even need to rewatch this. I just kind of felt like I had to. Not had to isn't the right word, because I wanted to rewatch it. But how does it hold up? Is there anything that like doesn't hold up for you, or how does it work now for you, Jenn?
So I would have to say that for the most part, everything still holds up okay for me. There are like just the stereotyping with gay characters, and the way that they handled, like Nancy coming out and all of those things. But at the same time, looking back on that now, like, yes, it's cringy. It's very like, ugh. But a friend of mine had this conversation years ago about when there are gay characters in like primetime television, kind of family-friendly sitcoms. And I was like, well, because we were talking about Modern Family at the time, and he didn't like the Cam character because he felt that the Cam character was just a stereotype, kind of this and that. And I was like, well, you got to look at it. They have to market these characters to be palatable to just basic ass, prejudice ass Americans. So they have to make them non-threatening, and they have to make them, and they have to kind of like lean into those stereotypes because that's what the people, quote, like understood at the time. Oh, yeah. Like when they first find out Leon's gay, and like, well, and Roseanne's like, well, I don't know which one's the man and watching sports and which one's washing the dishes. So then you've got that like sexism and, misogyny and all of that. But honestly, that's just how it was in the 90s. And it's so cringe. And I'm glad that we've we've been able to kind of move beyond that and be more sensitive. So those parts were really just like hard to watch. But I also remember being a kid in the Midwest, in Iowa, like, for what it was worth, that was, even though people were like not anti-queer people, that's just kind of more or less the initial thought process, I want to say. And that I chalk it up to not enough exposure to different types of people, not no traveling and that kind of stuff. But they didn't necessarily treat these people any differently than they would anybody else. Like Leon being gay didn't matter. But like, yeah, she'd make fun of him, but she made fun of everybody for whatever. That was just like her thing or whatever. But yeah, just like planning Leon's wedding, that like
every stereotype in the book.
Exactly. And you know what? It was pretty bad even for when that episode came out. Very stereotypical. So much worse now. So cringy. So yeah, it's a lot of those things where it's like, it's so hard to watch now. But for a lot of it, and I don't mean to make it sound like this excuses it and makes it okay, but that's just kind of how things were middle America back in the day. Yeah, good or bad, that's just how it was. So it's still very, very rewatchable for me. But yeah, definitely certain parts where I'm like, yeah, forgot about that. Or, ooh, that doesn't sit quite as nicely as it did like 30 years ago. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not an excuse at all, but, going along a little bit with what you were saying, you also have to think this time in television, Roseanne from this time, even though I know she was also a pain in the butt for people to work with, but Roseanne Barr, like, at that time pushed for so much stuff that the network really didn't want to do, like her kiss with a woman. And yes, I know at the end of it, she does wipe off her mouth, which is kind of like, but I think what she wanted to explore there was Roseanne is supposed to be so open-minded, but does she have some internalized homophobia going on? That was being explored. She pushed very hard to have gay characters on the show. That wasn't something the network wanted. And I know that, Sandra Bernhard is an openly bi woman, but I know Martin Mull, he was not gay. And so I know she had people that were straight playing those characters. And I understand the problems with that. Although at that time, what people also have to remember is people that were not out yet didn't want to take roles like this, because if people already suspected that they might be, it was a different time. It's still hard, but it was, even more homophobic than it is now, although I know things are kind of going backwards. But so it was something that a lot of like actors that had not come out yet were a lot more hesitant to take roles like that. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying that was the reality of the time. But for her to have those characters on there, and for her to have a female character on there who ended up being bi at that time, that was unheard of. You did not have that on, and especially to have it on a television show that was a sitcom where you had a family. You did not do that. So that was revolutionary. And I know that sounds like weird to say that now, but at that time, that really was. That was not something you saw. There were places that wouldn't air certain episodes because of that. That kiss was like huge. And that's like 2 seconds, literally 2 seconds of screen time. And they did not want that. She pushed a lot for stuff like that, for things that you didn't see. And that stuff doesn't hold up well. There's a lot of Dan, to me, is the most homophobic person on this show. He was, oh God, we're watching it. I was like, wow, you are so homophobic. Oh my God. It was really uncomfortable. Honestly, his stuff was very hard to watch. And I'll talk about him a little bit more when we talk about the Connors as a whole. But he was the most homophobic character. There were, and it's not an excuse, it kind of made sense for who he was, for where they were. all of that stuff. But it was still revolutionary. The whole show was revolutionary in a lot of respects and a lot of the things they were doing. You did not see families like this. You did not see families talk to each other like this. You didn't have a lot of the things they would show on there. You didn't show on TV at that time. So yes, there are things that are definitely cringeworthy. I think what's harder about this show as far as holding up is the fact that what Roseanne did a lot is stuff that was happening in her own life. She ended up interjecting into the show. So it changed like canon, like it changed like when this show first started, her dad was not who her dad ended up becoming. Her dad in the first season when he's on there is like this totally like, they never talk about him being abusive. Like, and then that becomes a thing that happens later on, which was so interesting. And also Dan and Roseanne's marriage, which I guess I should say this for when we're talking about the Connors, but their marriage like changes, like their whole timeline of their relationship. So that doesn't really, I don't want to say that doesn't hold up. It's just kind of one of those that's like,
someone's not paying attention. Yeah.
Last season on Roseanne, this was different.
Yes. Okay. Like in season 1, I'm sorry, they get a VCR and then magically they don't have a VCR and then they get a VCR from Dan's dad. So, I mean, okay. VCRs break.
I know. And Dan's mom was not who Dan's mom became. And I mean, Dan's dad was always the same, but his mom kind of changed. Roseanne's dad changed. All this kind of stuff. Their whole story of how they met was it just was like, it was like, where's the script supervisor to make sure it's sticking? But it was Roseanne was working out a lot of her own inner demons and things from her own childhood. And so she'd put him in with these characters that it was stuff that didn't happen before. Like, because I just think it's funny, the timeline of Dan and Roseanne's relationship and how that changes. But I still love this show, even though it does have those things that you cringe at. And it has that final season, season 9, which, I mean, I think actually it started going downhill before that, but season 9 is just,
It's so bad.
Yeah, even though it has that, it still is really funny. There are scenes that make you cry laughing because you're laughing so hard. The acting is so good. Some of these people are like, I mean, I think Roseanne is one of the weakest actors, to be honest, in the show.
Oh, yeah.
She gets better, but I mean, John Goodman is always fantastic. Laurie Metcalf is like on a whole other level.
Yep.
She is so damn good in this show. So I think even though it's got those cringy things, it still holds up. And even though I know it wasn't perfect in the way it pushed things, it still did that. It still took chances. It still did stuff that other shows were not doing. And yes, I will say it also was very white. I mean, you have Chuck, but that's kind of like
the token.
That's it. And Anne-Marie, but that's kind of the token character there. So the token Black character. So that's one other thing is this show is very white.
Yep.
So there is a little bit more privilege in that in a way, like they are able to start multiple businesses throughout this show.
Right.
Which is, they're very lucky in that respect.
Very lucky, yeah. Banks just keep giving them money.
I know. So, yeah, but I still love it. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're just going to talk about the Connor family as a whole. I also would include Jackie in this because Jackie is a Connor. I mean, that's not her last name, but she's a Connor. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll be right back. Okay, so Jenn, what are your thoughts on the Connor family as a whole, and who is your favorite?
So I love the Connor family as a whole. For as loud and vocal and as much shit they give each other and shit talking that they do, they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. They are supportive of each other at the end of the day. Even when Becky and Darlene are fighting, and when in the earlier seasons when they're having their big fight and they're throwing shit out the window, like, I don't have a sister, but I imagine that was probably a very realistic sister fight. And I feel like we never really saw a lot of real, quote, real sibling fighting on television. So that was a little side quest there, side tangent. But I love this family, very real. I feel like every character is relatable on some level. Yes, even DJ. And, yeah, everyone from DJ to fucking Nana Mary. And I love Nana Mary. You know why? She's not prejudiced. And she's got trick cards in her bag and everything. She's just a fucking hoot. So I love how much this family like supports each other. Roseanne, she could have stayed at Wellman if they didn't fire Booker and didn't bring in Faber. She would have stayed at that shitty job because had the insurance, paid the bills, and she liked her coworkers. They had fun, and sometimes your coworkers can make a shitty job bearable, but then you get a terrible boss. And the way that, Dan and everyone supported her in that decision to quit, it wasn't worth it. No matter how tight things are, it wasn't worth her sanity and her happiness. And I love that family was like, yeah, it's not fucking worth it. And I feel like in 2026, more people need to realize it's not fucking worth it. It's terrifying. Yes, absolutely. But you got to kind of decide, do you want to face the terror of the unknown, or do you want to continue to be beaten down every single day? You got to choose out of the two evils. Roseanne Connor was like, she was like the 90s mom, right? Like, she's loud, she's brass, she's crass, she does get kind of mean, very sarcastic and everything. But at the end of the day, again, she's there for her kids. She's there for her family. She makes mistakes. She's not the best mom. And she will, most of the time, begrudgingly admit when she is wrong. And I think that is also very important. I had a mom that never admitted when she was wrong. So to see that was possible, I was like, what? Oh my God. A parent can be wrong and fucking admit it? That's fantastic. So I really respect the character in that sense, and she's loyal to her friends and her family. She'll say the wrong thing, just like we all will on occasion say or do the wrong thing. But she, especially in the early seasons, had a conscience enough to like feel bad and try to make amends. And I loved seeing this imperfect wife mother on television. Dan Connor, with taking everything that you had said, absolutely, but also still top 3 TV dads. For me anyway. I love Dan Connor, and that just might be because I love John Goodman so fucking much. Yeah, Dan, very much like the most homophobic character, but at the same time, still secure enough in his manhood to use homophobia as a weapon against other homophobes, like the Halloween episode where Roseanne's dressed as a man, and then Dan comes in, and he's like, and he leans into it, right? Like, so he's confident enough in that sense, but then he doesn't like the idea of DJ being a witch or playing with dolls, witch versus warlock, that kind of stuff. But I also like, especially with that Halloween episode when DJ wanted to be a witch and Dan was having issues with that, Dan talked to his one buddy, which one of you, oh God, now I can't remember, hot dog's is gonna cash a check for me. That guy? He basically was like, well, Dan, it's not that big of a deal, and you got to kind of decide, is it worth pushing your kid away? And Dan, by the end of that episode, kind of comes around and understands a little bit more. No big major changes by any means, but I liked that they showed that and they addressed it. Oh, and I do want to go back to Roseanne real quick because I have to bring up this episode. So again, she's not perfect. But in the episode where DJ's supposed to do the play and he's supposed to kiss the girl, and then they find out that she's black and that he doesn't want to kiss her. So then they're kind of dealing with like, well, we're not racist, but maybe we have some internalized racism. And the thing that I loved about that episode with Roseanne is at the end when the girl's father comes up, and that whole interaction and the way it more or less leaves her speechless. And it's not like at the end of the episode, she like huffs away, just like, "Ugh, whatever, that man." She's kind of sitting with it for a minute. It doesn't get brought up again, which is somewhat disappointing. But again, it's a sitcom, so you don't expect a whole lot of carryover from episode to episode if it's not like a multi-parter. But I always loved that they showed that with Roseanne, that, oh, she's not prejudiced. They have they have a black friend, but here she is confronted with that. I will also say that the way the father first approached the door by banging on it like that, or no, that was after he came back. But
that was after, yeah.
Yep. But I can understand being two women alone in a restaurant or in any closed location and being weary of that.
Yeah.
But you do add on that other layer of him being a black man and how that it isn't just that it was a man coming and knocking at the door. So again, she makes mistakes. She's not the person she thinks she is, and at times is confronted with that, and at times has to sit with it and shuts the fuck up for a hot second. So, okay. On to Becky. She is the oldest with the worst attitude. Most of the time, and in this day and age too, most of the time, like the pretty blonde one wasn't the one that runs off with her boyfriend, or isn't the one that gets like really attitude-y and slamming doors and getting the door taken off the hinge. Like, that's something that we probably expected from Darlene, but we never got from Darlene. We got from Becky. So I actually liked that they made the pretty blonde one kind of like, quote, the naughty, the bad girl in that sense, right? Like, she still did great in school. She never smoked a cigarette, whereas Darlene did a couple of times.
She did get drunk, though.
Oh, my God. That's right. Made the tornadoes.
The tornadoes.
Yep. That's such a great episode.
Especially when Darlene walks in and just takes a sip and then spits it out.
And then when Dana's mom comes over, she's like, "Who's missing?" And Darlene's like, "Wasn't it that friend that was here?" She's standing right next to the woman. Like, the fucking cojones on that girl. I love her. Which leads me into my favorite was Darlene. Like, Becky was great and everything. I loved Lacey Goranson as Becky. I call her Becky 1 and 3. Sarah Chalk does a good job as Becky 2 and 4. And then I love just how much fun they had with them kind of going back and forth with the Patty Duke doing that. And then when Becky 1 comes back and Roseanne's like, "Well, where the hell have you been?" It's like, "You've been gone for 2 years." It's like, ho, so tongue in cheek. But Darlene was my favorite. When Darlene started wearing black, I started wearing black. She was funny. She's witty, sarcastic, smart mouth, very, very much Roseanne, right? Like, there's the one episode where, like, "You're already like her. You're already like me." "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are." "No, I'm not." "Yes, you have to get the same word." "Nuh-uh." Or last word.
Yeah.
But I always thought that Darlene and Roseanne had special relationship compared to her relationship with Becky. I feel like we saw more moments with Roseanne and Darlene of sincerity than we saw of Roseanne and Becky. Like, and that's not to say they didn't have their moments, but maybe because Becky was the one that Roseanne butted heads with the most, so there was more of the yelling. But I always felt like Roseanne and Darlene were the closest. Like, Roseanne was the closest with Darlene out of the three. I love her passion for when she gets into comics and everything, and when she's young and her first dance and getting caught, getting groped by a boy on the couch by mom and dad. Like, that whole episode is everything. But yeah, I do think Darlene is, while she is, yes, the most sarcastic, I think she is also the most sincere, the smartest, and the kindest. And DJ, I just fucking love his weird little ass, from beheading Barbie dolls to being like a wannabe filmmaker and everything. I love DJ. I love that they probably should have worried about him just a little bit more than they did. but they were never overly concerned. Like, I don't know, maybe if I found a box of like beheaded Barbie dolls in my kid's room, I might be a little concerned. But the way that they're just like, she's like, he doesn't do things your way. He does them differently. He's a boy. But they never like chastise him for it. They never tried to tell him to not be weird. You know, they let him be weird. They let him be this kooky little kid where now that he has a friend, now that he's friends with Todd, the squirrel population has increased in the neighborhood. Like, so they supported their weird little kid when they remembered they had a weird little kid. Aunt Jackie is the fucking best. I really don't like that they made her so wacky Jackie, almost a caricature.
Awful. It's awful.
I did not care for that, but I love Aunt Jackie. It's like, yes, she can be a little wacky. Yes, we see from the season 1, she's got these grand ideas. You know, she went to a seminar, you know, you see it, you can be it kind of thing. It's $35 and it's all, you know, manifestation and just, you know, like picture imagining it and change your life. So you got the sense that Jackie's always kind of been like that type to jump from kind of one new thing to the next. But I loved it when she was a cop. I loved how into being a cop she was. And I loved it when she got her cop voice. She's like, hey. Like when she shows up at the Lobo while there's a fight and she just walks right past it. And she's like, hey, what's going on, Roseanne? And then she turns around and she's like, sees the fight, decides to get involved, and then does her like cop Jackie yell like, hey, I got it, Sarge, I got it. Like, she cracked. I love her so fucking much. And while I didn't see the movie Lady Bird, I'm glad that she finally got her roses for that because she has been underappreciated all these years, I feel like.
That's a fantastic movie. You should watch that movie.
I hear good things.
It's so good.
But I love Aunt Jackie. She's a great aunt. She's a great sister. She has to put up with a lot from Roseanne.
Mm-hmm.
Bev is good old Craftmatic adjustable Bev. Like she's that kind of overbearing mom type. And then Nana Mary. Just how do you not love Nana Mary? Don't talk to me. All right, so that's the Connors as quickly as I could get through them. And I know I missed things, but that's a nutshell.
Yeah, I'll probably make Jen a little bit angry with some of the things I'm going to say about certain characters. No, I overall really do love the Connors. I mean, I have a younger sister. And when we were growing up, my sister and I had fights. I mean, fights, physical fights. I mean, it wasn't like we were like abusing each other or anything, but you know, we fought like big time. And it was just what we did. And then when we got older, I think we have more of a relationship like Roseanne and Jackie do. But when we were kids, no, it wasn't like that at all. We fought constantly. That was very realistic to me. Watching it as an adult, those kids are fucking brats, man. They are such brats. Mm-hmm. They are such brats. Both, not DJ so much. DJ's kind of the neglected third child, but Darlene and Becky are both complete spoiled brats. So, frankly, I mean, when I was a kid watching it, I felt bad for them, and especially Becky, I think. But then I watch it as an adult and I'm like, oh my God, she is such a little brat. Mm-hmm. They're so rude and so mean. But I mean, that's the way kids are. I understand it's the way kids are. I'm just saying it's so funny watching it when you watch shows like this as an adult that you grew up with as a kid. And so you're viewing it more from a different standpoint. But overall, you know, for the first few seasons, it was such a great, like, family overall and all the different portrayals. I'll get to Jackie in a minute because I hate what they did with her character, but because Jackie's actually my favorite until the later seasons. But I do like Becky. I will say they also really changed Becky because Becky used to be really smart. Like she was the smart one. And then they turned her into a dumb blonde. And that was really stupid and annoying because she was never dumb. Mm-hmm. And then in the later seasons, it became kind of a joke that like, oh, she's the dumb blonde. And that's not at all accurate. She is someone who fell in love with somebody and then totally changed her whole life and dropped like her big ambitions. But she was always kind of, even though she was popular, she was also kind of a nerd. And I mean that in the best way. And so they kind of changed her a lot. And I wonder if part of that also is with a new actress coming in and playing her, and if they felt they had to change her. They did that with a lot of the characters later on in the later seasons, changed them a little bit. And I wondered why they might have done that. Like they made Mark dumber and dumber as the show went on, that kind of stuff. And they did the same thing to Becky because Becky was not dumb. Yeah. Darlene was the one who always got, Darlene wasn't dumb either, but Darlene was the one who always got bad grades. Yep. And Becky was the smart one. And that all kind of changed later on. But I will say, like, of the kids, Becky's probably honestly my least favorite, just because I think she is the biggest brat of all of them. She's such a selfish, self-absorbed brat. And I think that changes when she becomes an adult. And I understand she's a teenager and she's a typical teenager, but she's like a teenager to the extreme. And it would be so hard to have her as a daughter, especially when you're struggling, like when the bike shop is closing and how all she's concerned about is Mark, which is a very, very teenage attitude to have. But it was so frustrating to watch at times, especially rewatching it. Darlene, okay, I like Darlene, but Darlene becomes a very abusive person. She's abusive. I quite frankly think she's very emotionally abusive. She's very mean. And I think Roseanne's mean. I think they're so similar, but the way, and granted, I have my issues with David. I have a lot of issues with David, but the way she treats David is borderline abusive. She's so mean. I mean, so mean. I mean, it's just, I don't know. She just, I love Darlene, but I also struggle with her a lot because, I think, I mentioned her a little bit when we were talking about Mean Girls and when we were talking about the character of Janice in Mean Girls. And that character reminds me a lot of Darlene, where I think what it is with Darlene has this whole wall up because she's afraid to be vulnerable. And so her wall is being this very like, nothing bothers me, nothing affects me, and I'm going to say whatever I want to say, and I don't give a fuck what you think. And that is Darlene's whole thing. First, it was, more in the quote unquote tomboy thing. And then it became more in the like writer artist thing. And I related to when she went through her depressed period and everything like that. I related to that. It was more when she got older. And I just think there was a little bit of an abusive nature to her. I still love her, but it's just, I do think she kind of was hard to watch at times. And I understand, though, that was a lot of because she had that protection and she didn't want to be vulnerable at all. Like she was terrified. There were a few moments when she was, and you saw that. But, I still loved her. I'm not trying to put down your favorite here, Jen. I'm just saying there were those moments where it was really difficult to watch and where I was like, David, run. Yeah. Which David has that nice guy crap too. He's not the best person, but I'll talk about him. Well, no, I won't talk about him in this one because we're just going to mention one favorite character outside of the family. And spoilers, that's not my favorite outside of the family. What? but I always rooted for them to get together, even though when I'm rewatching it, I'm like, run, David, but I still rooted for them to be together. I rooted for Mark and Becky too, I want to say. Yeah. But I think that's interesting to have a complex female character like that in a show in that time period, and especially as she grew older. I appreciate that she was a writer because that fit her personality. I appreciate that she was able to she went to college, all of that stuff. I really appreciate that part a lot. Dan, for a long time, was like my vision of a perfect dad and a dad I'd want. I love John Goodman so much. I just adore him. Dan has such anger issues and he's kind of scary. Yeah. He's pretty violent. And rewatching it, there are some scenes like when he finds out about David and Darlene living together.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my God. It's very almost shocking that he didn't hit David because it looked like he was going to. And he's very, very scary when he gets angry. He punches a wall, after finding out David and Darlene have been living together. He has all these moments where he becomes very violent and he drinks a lot. I think he's probably an alcoholic.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mean to get all serious about all this, but it's just stuff I notice. I'm like, he has some major anger issues. I still love him.
Mm-hmm.
I mainly love the earlier seasons Dan more than the later seasons Dan, but I still love him. Season 9 Dan is not real to me because I don't think Dan would ever consider like cheating on Roseanne that way. That was bullshit. That is not real.
Yeah, I fucking hated that so fucking much.
Yeah,
I was like,
that was not.
Dan Connor would fucking never. No.
No.
You might dream about Margie or whatever.
Yeah, that's not, no. I mean, that's just him being a man.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Dan wouldn't have done that. So that was horrible. But it is hard rewatching it and watching his level of anger is really kind of terrifying, to be honest.
No, that is a good. Yeah, I agree there. But there were times where I was like, ugh. I remember thinking that was like endearing, and now it's scary.
Yeah, it's scary. But I still love him. It's not to say that I don't love him because I still adore him. And I think a big reason for that, like you said, is John Goodman. That is a big reason why that character works. Roseanne becomes more abrasive as the show goes on. But I love earlier seasons Roseanne the most. But I did appreciate how she really, really, really wanted the best for her children. And I appreciate and I kind of related to because my mom was like a surrogate mom to a lot of our friends. And the fact that she became a surrogate mom to both, mainly to David. I mean, she had a really close relationship with David. But also, I think in a way to Mark, although Mark and Dan became closer than probably Mark and Roseanne. But I think Mark really thought of her as a surrogate mom too, because they came from an abusive home. So I think she was good at, I appreciated that part. I appreciated how she was always there for her kids, no matter what, no matter how tired she was and everything like that. Jackie is my favorite, except for how wacky they made her later seasons was really obnoxious. But the earlier seasons, Jackie, I just loved her so much. Just how she would always constantly change her mind, all the different boyfriends she had, always trying to find her footing in life, always trying to, I think she always wanted Roseanne to be proud of her. And I think that was always her biggest goal, was to have Roseanne be proud of her. Because Roseanne, honestly, she was her sister, but she was also her surrogate mom in a lot of respects. And so she always wanted Roseanne to just be proud of her. And I love Laurie Metcalf's performance. She has some of the funniest moments in the whole show. She's, watching her hairstyles change throughout it, her different jobs, when she becomes a truck driver.
Oh, God, I loved it.
After sleeping with Arnie. When she doesn't want to tell people and she's like, something horrible happened and everybody's confessing these things and Bonnie's like, we robbed a liquor store. She's like, people rob liquor stores all the time. I slept with Arnie. Everybody comforting Roseanne.
Yes. I will forever be known as the sister of the woman who slept with Arnie. Just that whole scene, because then they're in the back and Jackie's sitting in the foreground, face what the fuck happened? I love it. Yeah, no, Jackie. And let us not forget the infamous phone call to Auntie Barbara.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know if that would be mentioned later, so that's why I haven't mentioned it yet, because that is...
sorry.
No, it's fine, because that is one of the best, most infamous scenes in the whole entire
series is an Aunt Jackie moment.
Yes.
It's a great moment.
Yeah. Well, who is your favorite character outside of the Connors?
I ended up writing down Leon because I really like Martin Mull. And I loved the Leon character, especially the original, especially like season 4 when they first bring him in, Rod Bell's Leon, not whatever happened to him later. I'm not sure. I liked that he was kind of a hard ass and he gave Roseanne as much shit as she gave him. And I just loved their interactions. Leon has got just, yeah, probably one of my favorites. I couldn't, because I feel like there have been a lot kind of that coming, but there's also, yeah, the Healy boys, Mark, always a soft spot for the bad boy. But I went with Leon because, well, I was watching season 4 and I was like, I fucking love Leon. So, final answer, Leon.
Yeah, I struggled to pick who it would be. There's a part of me that really likes Crystal and feels like they should have kept Crystal on more. Because originally, if you don't know, she was going to be a bigger role, was going to be Crystal. It was going to be main. Crystal was kind of going to be like Jackie in a way of like the other person outside of the main core group of the family was going to be Crystal. Crystal was just going to be the best friend. She was going to have a bigger role. But then because of Laurie Metcalf and Jackie and just the way it worked, it kind of switched up there. But I actually am going to say Mark. And the reason I'm saying Mark is, except for when they dumbed him down, I didn't like that. But I always loved Mark. And I understand Mark was a bad boy. But I think really Mark was not a bad boy at all. I think Mark was just very lost and fell in love with somebody who was so totally the opposite of him, and fell in love with somebody that saw it, into him and saw beyond that bad boy thing. And especially as the seasons go on, and I mean, like Mark when you first meet him no, we don't really like him. But I think as it goes on, he really shows how he really like respects the Connors, even though it takes a long time for them to respect him, especially Roseanne. And he's actually a lot like Dan. I mean, I really think that's what people realize is he's a lot like Dan in some respects. And I just think the performance is great. And I just really enjoyed watching him. And I like the fact that he wasn't a one-off and that you got to know him better. And I really believe he truly, truly loved Becky, and he truly loved the family too. I mean, the scene when David is getting ready to marry Darlene and David can't tie his tie, and Dan's like, no, I can't do it. And then Mark does it. And, David just keeps saying, doesn't it seem weird that our dad's not here? And Mark's like, our dad taught us this. That's all you would need from our dad. Dan is our dad now. This is our family now. And that's when you really see who Mark is truly, is that person right there. And yes, he was awful to David sometimes, but I still just really, I really loved Mark, and I liked Mark more than David, frankly. Because David had too much of that, I'm such a good guy, but, like the whole scene, I honestly think that episode where Dan is like, I would rather DJ take after Mark and learn from Mark than you, when David is being all like high and mighty and looking down on other people. I thought that was a really nice thing to see too. So yeah, that's my final answer, but I do like so many of these other characters. I think Leon is a great pick too. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that scene with Mark and David tying the tie, and he drops the one line about, their dad was never there for him. The one thing that he would have been good for, Mark has done for them. And that I did not expect that in that moment, especially from Mark, right? I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is the sweetest thing you've ever said.
Yeah, no, it's true.
I loved it. Yeah, no, good call on that one.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take another quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about that show finale. Okay, so once again, we're only talking about seasons 1 through 9. I know the 10th season did away with what this did, but still. So the original run of the show ended with basically it was all a dream. I mean, because season 9, they won the lottery, which was so stupid. And Dan almost left his family and all this stuff happened. And then Darlene, I do think the Darlene giving birth episodes are really good, though. I will say that. And Darlene and David have a baby and all this stuff. Well, then the final episodes, they're split up into 2 when you rewatch them, are like basically you find out in the end that that Dan died from his heart attack. And Roseanne has been writing this book because one of the early, it was season 1, right? When they did the writing, or was it season 2?
I think season 2.
And they give her the room to write. She always wanted to write. And so she's writing this book as a way to cope with the loss of Dan. And in the book, she changes things. Like she reveals that actually Darlene and Mark were together and David and Becky were together. And Jackie was gay, and her mom, who Bev had come out in season 9, which also was just so weird to me.
Yeah.
And then, she did that to kind of give her mom some more freedom or whatever. And so that, basically undoing a lot of what you knew about these characters. I get undoing them winning the lottery, but that other stuff was just wow. So this is widely considered one of the worst series finales ever. So, Jen, do you agree with that?
So first of all, I hate the final season, and I think I only watched it the one time during its original run. While I had a lot of fun with the Ab Fab episode because I loved Ab Absolutely Fabulous and everything, super weird shit. I actually don't hate the finale. I actually don't hate it. I thought it was really, especially the first time I saw it and it was revealed that Dan died. I mean, the gasp by Gus was just like, as a child, I was like, oh my God, how could you? I guess that's better than everything else that's happened in the last 20 plus episodes. I liked it. I liked that. Yeah, they didn't win the lottery, that Roseanne was writing her book. So a callback to early seasons when she got her writing room and everything. I loved seeing that because just kind of like a bit full circle-ish. Maybe it was season 1. Maybe it was like later season 1. But as heartbreaking as it was to lose Dan, and as confusing as it is that the girls actually were with the other brothers, because the first time I was like, wait, what? And so whenever I watch it, I try and think about like, okay, but this is actually Becky and David? Or is this actually a Darlene and Mark thing? So it's put kind of like a really interesting perspective on rewatches. But I didn't hate it. I thought it was it was a chance. Absolutely. It was a choice. And yet not everyone likes it, but I loved it. And I love that, yes, back to being just the poor broke-ass Connors and the bad couch and the Afghan and everything. Just kind of resetting all of that. And yeah, doing away with all the lottery stuff. Denying that Jackie is a lesbian in her book felt very selfish. That I didn't see the reason for that. I can't remember the reason she gave, but with Bev, I can understand, more freedom than what she was ever allowed for herself. So the Jackie part, that part I don't really care for. Just, she could have been a lesbian the whole time, or, had her come out, or whatever. So I would guess I'm going to say that's probably my biggest issue, is being like, my gay sister, or, my straight sister's actually gay. I just kept her in the closet for this whole book. Oh, that's fucked up, but all right. But yeah, I liked it.
I mean, when you watch season 9 and then you get to that, it's a little bit of a relief that a lot of that stuff didn't happen. But at the same time, to me, it felt like such a cop-out. Like it was kind of like, everybody's criticizing our whole season, so we're going to undo it. That's the way it felt. It felt like the whole, I used to watch Dallas. It felt like the whole Dallas dream thing. People should know what that is. It's pretty much like that. And I don't like when shows do that, when they're like, it was all a dream.
Ah.
I think it would have been better if they had spent the last season and basically Dan died, and then the last season is them coping with that. That would have been 100,000 times better. And maybe she starts writing. I would have appreciated that more. To me, it's because it feels like a cop out. Like, I'm fine if I loved Dan, but I'm fine. I would have been fine with them having him die.
Yeah.
That I didn't have a problem with. I thought it was stupid to switch up the who's dating Mark and who's dating David. That was kind of dumb. And the whole Jackie thing was awful. So that's my problem with it, is it feels like kind of a cop out, and like, well, see, that wasn't really what was going on, and you all have a problem with it, but that wasn't really what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I don't like it. That's why I really think if the whole season had been dealing with Dan dying, that would have been so much more interesting to watch than them winning the lottery, having all those weird episodes, like including that one that's like the Satan episode, and you know, all these things, and that stupid Jim Varney Prince character, and God, that was annoying. And like all that stuff, instead of having that, dealing with that would have been much more interesting, and dealing with, you know, Darlene and the complications with her birth, and not her birth, but, you know, her child's birth, and all of that would have been much more interesting without Dan there. Only because, not because I wouldn't want Dan there, but because it would have been interesting, those struggles there. And so that's why I don't like the finale. I would have been fine with the finale, with the exception of like switching like partners and everything like that, and the Jackie stuff. I would have been fine with the finale if it wouldn't have been like just a way to erase the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me was such a cop out. It was such the easy way to kind of get out of the backlash. And then to do that, and then to, which we're not going to talk about, of course, but then to bring back the show and then erase everything. It's like, okay.
It's like you put us through that, and then for nothing?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, yeah, that stuff just kind of bothers me. But so it's not so much the concept of what happened. It's more the way it was executed that bothers me about it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. And, you know, and I agree. I think if they had just stayed middle class and wrote in Dan's actual death, that would have been a nice, again, kind of coming full circle to everyday people, everyday problems, you know, losing a loved one and how you're going to carry on with that. Like, they kind of did that because she was depressed and in bed for those couple, you know, for that episode or whatever. But I think it would have been much better if they went with your idea. So if we can go back and just fix that. But I get what you're saying. I was relieved that it was, you know, the book and everything. So I guess, yeah. But I understand. Valid points.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for time, because I just think it'd be a little bit more interesting. Just quickly, we won't go like dive into the episodes or anything, but what are 3 of your favorite episodes or scenes?
Let's see. Jackie calling Auntie Barbara and to let her know that Dad's fine and he sends his love. Of course, the Dan leaving to beat the shit out of Fisher, and then Darlene having to bail him out. I mean, just that kind of two-parter and everything, just amazing. Like, Darlene going to bail Dan out has to be one of the funniest moments ever. And then, God, it was so hard to pick. But yeah, you got like Darlene getting felt up, Becky fucking farting in class. Oh yeah, talk about groundbreaking, Becky getting birth control. Like, that never was really a thing. So I have to put the top 2, in the smoking pot episode, but top 2 are definitely Auntie Barbara and Auntie Fisher. Anti-Fisher and Auntie Barbara.
Yeah. We already mentioned it, but definitely the stash from the past episode when they get high. I love that episode. I love the PMS I love you episode because it is so funny. And my favorite part of the whole episode, honestly, is in the beginning when, when they say, and Dan's like, she's got PMS, and DJ goes, PMS!
Oh my God.
Yeah, oh my God, and falls over. That is like...
that dude, Michael Fishman, like, he fucking nailed it. He felt like, there was a mattress there because he fell so good. And I can't tell you how many times I've tried to find a GIF of that exact reaction, because there have been times where I've felt that, oh my God, and then I try to run. I want to run and then fall down. Like, no, 100% agree. I love that that's both your and I's favorite part of that episode.
It's so great. It's so great. Yeah, the way that whole thing, like, I rewound that a few times when I was watching it. It's just like, it's also like, you're not, like, he probably has no idea what he's even reacting to. And kind of off of that, because there's so many, like, I mean, their Halloween episodes, everything like that. But going off of that, like, there's the whole episode where DJ is, it's the masturbation episode, talking about DJ masturbating. And when Roseanne's talking to him, because Roseanne doesn't trust that Dan can actually handle it. And Roseanne's talking to him about the period story and her white dress. And DJ screaming, I don't want to hear anymore. And Dan being like, well, there's, saying that, he's like, just telling me a scary thing. That's no reason to run at him screaming. It was about her period. And he's like, carry on.
Yep.
That was so perfect.
I love
that so much. I don't want to hear anymore.
And then Dan just being like, well, carry on. And again, Roseanne not making the bestest, right? Like, as a mom, you think you're doing better than your partner or whatever, and you just make shit so much worse.
That's so much. Just that combined with the PMS I love you are like the two like best DJ moments ever. And they're two of my favorite moments of the whole show, because it is hard to choose. But yeah, the whole stash from the past, like I said. So those will be the three. But I do think almost any of the Halloween episodes, there's that one with like the birth of, isn't it the Halloween episode where she gives birth to Jerry? And I don't like the whole Jerry, the whole birth baby
Jerry
thing.
Garcia
like
one.
that.
Yeah.
I like Jackie getting pregnant, but
yeah. Oh, and then when she breaks it to Bev, but Bev already knew because Roseanne told her, and Jackie comes busting in, I'm pregnant, and I'm not going to marry the man, and when it's a girl, I'm going to name her Gidget. The way she says Gidget.
Yeah. And what if it's a boy?
And then just Jackie being so mad that, like, she couldn't surprise and kill her mom with the information.
And I do like, it's not a line at all, but I do like, speaking of Fred, when Jackie just sleeps with him and then is like, and he keeps saying, oh, well, come on, we had fun. Let's go out again. And then Roseanne's like, so you're just going to sleep with him? You're not going to nothing else? You don't want to do anything else? And she's like, yeah, just like, way to be. And I love that.
High five.
That, showing a woman doing that instead of the man doing that. I loved that. I thought that was amazing. So, yeah. Yeah, but there's so many you could choose. So it was really hard to choose for sure. Okay, well, that'll do it for this part. We're going to do 6 Degrees of Finn Whitrock, which I'm sure Finn loved this show as well. I'm positive of it. So it is time to play 6 Degrees of Mr. Finn Whitrock. And Jenn is a member of my Finn crew. And Jenn also plays 6 Degrees of Nicolas Cage on her podcast. And then on our podcast, we play 6 Degrees of John Waters. So, so Jenn, how did you connect Finn Whitrock to Roseanne?
Well, I went with John Goodman, and he was in a movie called Death Sentence with Matt O'Leary, who was in The Submarine Kid with Finn Whitrock.
Whoa, we haven't used I can't even remember the last time The Submarine Kid was brought up.
I double checked because, like, I was going to use John Goodman, and I can't remember John Goodman, and I was going to end up on, like, the Snail movie. But I was like, no, I've done that one before. So I looked around and I was like, The Submarine Kid, because that is always going to be the fucking movie that I couldn't remember the name of, but I could describe the cover perfectly.
I loved that, how you described it so perfectly and you just couldn't. I did a really easy one. I know I did a really easy, lazy one. So George Clooney was, of course, in Roseanne for the first season as Booker. And as everybody knows, George Clooney was my longest celebrity crush. And George Clooney, of course, became really well known when he did ER. He did 2 ER shows, but the drama ER. And Finn Whitrock was in an episode of ER. So I did a really lazy one. I know, I realize.
Nice. No, that's good though. I thought I had to look it up because I couldn't remember, because I'm terrible with soaps, but I was like, when they had the diner, they had the 2 soap actors come on at the end. I was like, which soap opera? That would be so easy. It wasn't the correct one.
No, General Hospital.
I know.
But you still could have used it because a lot of the actors cross over. And,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, wouldn't that have been something? I was so excited.
Yeah. And talk about that relationship just quickly. And there's a little trigger for rape. But that's one of those relationships. Soaps do this the night I hate it. It's one of the things I hate the most about soaps. But so those 2 characters, Luke and Laura, Luke originally, because they're like a super couple in the soap world, Luke originally raped her.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then they later fell in love and got married.
Because
I know.
My grandma and my aunts watched Days, so I'd watch it when I'd be up there with them. So we didn't watch any other ones, but you still knew who Luke and Laura were in that they were soap opera characters and they were a couple. I never knew that was their. That's not a meet cute. That's a fucking felony.
Oh, I know. There's a lot of relationships like that in soaps. Or where people are together with someone who raped somebody else, who was a former rapist. There's one relationship in Days where these 2 get together and one of them is a serial killer and he's a reformed serial killer. They get married, have a baby. It's one of the things I hate about soaps. And I'm a diehard soap person, but it's one of the things I hate is how often they do that. It's really gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, because Luke and Laura's wedding was one of the most watched, highest rated moments in soap history.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I never ever liked them together because of that. Sorry, everybody out there who are Luke and Laura's viewers. Anyway, so on that note. Well, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you so much, Jenn, for joining me for this episode of, I almost said of Pop Culture Fandom News. That's wrong. Thank you so much for joining me to talk about Roseanne. I had a ton of fun talking about this show that will always mean so much to me. There is a podcast out right now that is very interesting to listen to because it's basically saying that every problem in the world, not every problem in the world, but a lot of problems it's called We Blame Roseanne. And it is a look back at the show very critically and looking at it that as much as people say that, saying basically Roseanne was always who Roseanne is and that Roseanne did a lot more harm than good. It's a very interesting podcast to listen to. I do recommend listening to it. They have horrible ratings because people are just pissed about it. But I think it's an interesting kind of thing to re-examine certain things on Roseanne. I still love Roseanne. It hasn't made me not like Roseanne or anything. The show. I don't like the person. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. But anyway, thank you so much, Jenn, for joining me. And if you want to tell everybody about your podcast, My Streaming Bubble, and also everybody, we co-host Twin It to Win It together too. But tell everybody about My Streaming Bubble. I'm sorry. That was horrible.
So My Streaming Bubble is my podcast, and that's where I talk about the streamable media I love with people I tolerate. And I only tolerate a few people. So Erin's on there quite a bit. So very tolerable. And yeah, we talk about movies, shows. I've done documentaries. yeah, so just search my streaming bubble and I will pop on up there for you. So just do the whole like internet thing, like follow, like, share, review, but only if you're going to say nice things because I'm very, very fragile. So, and then, yeah, do all those things for Twin It to Win It.
Yeah, and also that one, yeah.
And that one, yeah. Yeah. And these other ones you're about to hear. Take it away, Erin.
Fergie the dog does not care about this show, really. She likes the Halloween episodes. Fergie the dog loves watching horror movies, Abbott Elementary. I don't know. I guess that's the only sitcom she likes. Although she did like watching, she was into The Golden Girls when I rewatched The Golden Girls, but those are her only two sitcoms she likes. And then she also loves true crime. And you can follow her on TikTok at Schroeder and Fergs. That's SCHROEDERANDFERGS. It's long, but it's worth it. To find links to all our past episodes, including that Married to Children episode I mentioned earlier. We also covered Modern Family, which was mentioned earlier as well. Head on over to our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com. You can also find links to our Discord server and our other social media there. And while you're there, consider becoming a Patreon supporter today. For as little as $3 a month, you get ad-free content. You get episodes a day early. You get bonus episodes, and occasionally you win prizes. Tomorrow night, if you're listening to this on Friday, May 15th, you can join us on our YouTube channel, Saturday, May 16th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for 12 hours of streaming fun. Jen will be there. A bunch of people that you know and love will be there. We'll be having trivia, fun panels, 2 Christian Bale events, needle drops. We're going to have a really cool horror segment, a couple of horror segments, and we're going to be announcing the winners of our Fandom Choice Awards. Lots of fun stuff. So join us on our YouTube channel, and also our Patreon subscribers. They have the potential of winning some cool prizes, including one pass to the 2027 Southern Colorado Women in Horror Convention Festival, which is about like women who write horror novels. So that is an incredible value. You have to pay for your own airfare if you're not in Colorado and your own hotel stay, but still, that's an incredible prize. And that's just one of many great prizes up for grabs. And so become a Patreon supporter for as little as $3 a month. And as long as you're still a paying Patreon subscriber on June 30th, and if I draw your name out of that hat on May 16th, you can win one of those prizes. We also give away other prizes at other times in the year. And plus, like I said, bonus episodes and ad-free content. So click the link in the show notes or the Support Us tab on our website, which once again is itsafandomthingpod.com. And we're off next week. We were going to have an episode, and we will do it at some point. We might actually do it this summer. And that was going to be Black sitcom moms through history, which was an episode we were going to do in February. But because of my mom's passing, I didn't really want to do it at that point in time. But I am being smart this year. I'm taking that week off because I cannot do any recording the week before because of the marathon streaming event. So we won't have an episode next week. We won't have any episodes, but that gives you time to catch up on our marathon streaming event if you miss it, to listen to our past episodes. But we will be back, and so will Jen, in 2 weeks, along with Tiff. And this was Tiff's suggestion. And this is a first-time watch for me, and that is Drunk History. Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So that's how we're wrapping up Comedy Month, is with a look at Drunk History in 2 weeks. Yes. So until next time, remember, it's a fandom thing. Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate, and Free Palestine.